There's a single reason why most men get stuck with their wives and most marriages fall apart. Now, at this point, over a decade, I've honestly coached thousands of husbands, men whose wives were completely checked out, just done, filing for divorce or seeing someone else, even in some cases. And the number one excuse that I hear from them about why they can't fix things in their marriage is that this time, Josh, it's just different. She's never said she's done before. She's never moved out of the house. She's never been this cold. I can tell it's different is what they tell me. But here's what's insane. 100% of those men were wrong. I know that doesn't seem possible, but listen.
The results were overwhelmingly positive. Like my wife really responded. It was so good. Like she started opening up to me again. Our bedroom life was phenomenal. It was the best time of our marriage.
You can get these kinds of results using the STAIR method. There's 5 principles in today's video that are steps back to her heart again. When you simply become aware of these in the video, you will completely flip her reaction from doubt into curiosity to rebuild safety with her and make her start to feel that natural draw towards you, that attraction.
She was so much more calm and she was so much more just ready to follow me.
And the 5th one, by the way, it doesn't just change her. It really ripples into every part of your own life.
It changed my entire life.
Mm.
Like I was more confident at work and I was more confident with my friends.
And when you stay to the very end of the video, you'll get a bonus principle that shows her without a doubt that your changes are real. Let's hop in. So my client, Chris, he had his entire world flipped upside down, and it was all with one phone call. He was on a night shift, just calling to say goodnight, when his wife said something that would change his life forever.
So one night I'm working night shift and I called her to say goodnight. And we were just kind of chatting and I made this offhand comment about, isn't it great that we have this strong marriage and that we're really secure together and all this other kind of stuff. And she, I don't know, something in her snapped and she was just like, Chris, I have to be honest with you. I'm not happy in our marriage. I'm bored and I haven't been fulfilled in a very long time. And it was like, it was like my eyes were opened, the ground was pulled out from under me.
Now that moment for Chris was a rude awakening, a realization so many men have far too late.
I was complacent in my marriage. I just kind of assumed she'd always be there. I assumed we were good. I didn't put in the work that I should have to keep our marriage strong.
When she finally spoke her truth, every emotion hit him like a tsunami.
It took me a couple of days to get over just the surprise and the anger that I was feeling when she said that.
But when the dust settled, Chris made a decision that a lot of men never make.
But once that happened, I started looking around. I was like, okay, I can't, I can't not do anything about this. I love this woman and I don't want to lose her.
You see, he took action. He searched and he refused to be another man blindsided by divorce.
So I started looking up, videos on YouTube and reading articles and looking at relationship forums. I was trying to figure it out by myself. Trying to figure out how to save my marriage by myself.
And that's when he found us. And what Chris did next changed everything. It is the exact same transformation that helped thousands of men turn their marriages around. And the very first principle of the STAIR method is the foundation of it all. Now it's controversial, but without it, she'll never soften, never trust, and even worse, never respect you again. When Chris's wife said she wasn't happy, his first reaction was shock and anger, of course, like most men. But once that passed, he did something most men struggle with. I want you to listen to our conversation here.
One thing that a lot of guys struggle with in the beginning, which I'm curious how you dealt with this, if it wasn't even a problem, is the most controversial lesson that I teach, which is the extreme ownership. Mm-hmm. Were you able to be like, no, I totally see now, like put my ego aside, how I led to this? Or was there some little bit of struggle of seeing how you owned a lot?
No, actually having a large ego has never been a problem for me. I saw that and I was just like, yeah, like this, I mean, she had her part in it too, but this was on me. It's my job to address these things and figure out how to move forward.
The principle he's talking about here is self-ownership. It means taking full responsibility for your part in the marriage. And honestly, it seems easy, but it's harder than it actually sounds. The reason why it's hard though, is because honestly, your ego, our egos, mine and yours, we don't want to take full responsibility for everything because it hurts on the front end. But let's take a second look in the mirror and ask yourself some questions. Do you get more irritable now than you used to with her? Are you quick to make excuses when she complains or criticizes you? And have you actively taken actions to make your wife feel better day by day? Proactively, which means not after she says something, but beforehand. I'm not here to blame you, okay? I just want you to step into the man that you're supposed to be, the man that your wife needs you to be for her to come back.
And it's easier said than done. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's not easy for a lot of men because our egos are in the way, right? But it sounds like you were able to overcome that, which is pivotal. Um, like not fall into that victim mindset.
When you let go of that ego finally, and you're like, you know what? Okay, I can own this. I can realize that I haven't been on top of my game, and that's fine. And you remove the victim story in your life. You become the author of your own story. Now, the victim mindset isn't the only thing that's really eating away at your marriage. There's something else insidious, really evil, and quieter, and it's harder to spot. But it also erodes the respect from the inside out. And most men don't even know that they're really doing it. So the next principle corrects all of that. It really stops her from pulling away and restores the natural polarity between the two of you. When you finally get this one, she'll start coming closer again effortlessly. Chris describes it here perfectly.
One thing that really helped me was learning the difference between being vulnerable and being needy. I thought being vulnerable just meant sharing your feelings and, being open like that. But the way I was doing it, where I was putting that burden on her.
Yeah.
I was making her responsible for my happiness, and that's neediness. And I learned to stop doing that.
This principle comes down to two words: transfer happiness. You see, the reason it's called this principle is because most men, they hand over their happiness to their wives without even noticing it. They will make her the source of their peace, right? Their confidence, their worth even. And that transfer, it drains her. It puts all this weight on her, and that pressure makes her feel unsafe. I want you to think of a temperature dial, okay? We have my little temperature dial over here for the apartment. You keep letting her set the temperature. If she's cold, you go cold. If she's hot, you go hot. You are following her. This principle highlights the fact that you are in reaction to her and your frame is weaker, okay? And a woman needs you to be steady and strong, unreactive to any and all of her emotions so she can trust you. When you do this, her guard instantly drops. The tension from her body fades and her nervous system finds calm again when she looks at you instead of feeling dysregulated, okay? But how do you keep that steadiness inside yourself if everything just tends to spike up?
So was it just a mental switch for you? Some of the beliefs you have? Was it certain actions you took?
Both. It started out by changing my beliefs, like changing how I changing how I saw the world, quite frankly. And then I started putting those beliefs into action and showing that I was, in this for the long haul, showing that I was committed to being the guy that, she'd always wanted me to be. And just showing her that she can be safe with me, that she can, be open with me.
That's what it looks like. Beliefs backed by action. The way you carry yourself, how you follow through, the small, steady actions that show your happiness isn't hanging on her approval. Look, neediness doesn't always start in the marriage. Sometimes it's much older than that, right? Rooted in things that we really never healed.
I had it from childhood. I had some things in my childhood that weren't great. But and when I met her, and she was this sweet, wonderful woman, and I started relying on her more than I should have.
Mm. So it's like the original wound was there and it kind of like just grew over time, that those habits,
Right.
right?
I
That makes
thought she could fix it for me,
ah
and that was a huge mistake.
yeah.
I needed to fix it.
And the truth that most men avoid is that no one can really fix this for you. You have to build that strength from the inside out. But that inner strength is only half of the work. The next part is learning how to connect with her through it. So this next principle, the third one, it really embodies this stair method the most. That's why it's in the middle, because it's the pillar centering everything. When you apply it, that's when you start to rebuild the connection. So comes safety first and then the connection. This is known as attuning to her emotions or emotional attunement. I'll let Chris take it away first.
Another one was to listen, not just hear what she's saying, but actively listen and try to understand the emotions behind it rather than looking for solutions to problems.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
was so bad about just trying to fix everything, but that was to ease my burden,
Yes.
not hers.
Yes.
And when I stopped trying to fix her and I started validating her,
This means you stop trying to fix her, okay? You start hearing her instead, not just the words she's saying. You look underneath the words. You can see underneath all that anger or frustration or bitterness or coldness that there's a hurt girl inside of there, right? And that's what you see when she's in anything except for happiness. Now, most men, when they see that, they try to solve the pain. They jump right in with excuses or answers or anything to just get her to go back to baseline, to going back to happy, okay? But when you defend yourself, when you shut down, when you make excuses, when you do anything else except for attuning to her emotions, what do you think happens to her? She feels that she can't trust you, that you can't hold her emotions, right? Literally, if you can't hold her emotions, you can't hold her physically. She won't let you. You see what I mean? So how do you attune? You sit there. Your nonverbals are so important. You're listening. You're open. Your body's open. You're nodding. Okay, this is what actually gets it.
The validating helped as well. Just like it wasn't just like, hey, I have this need, I'm going to go take care of it, and what you want doesn't matter. It's just like, I get what you need, but I can't give it to you until I get like I said, until I get myself centered again. But I
Yeah.
want to give it to you. I just need this first.
And that's what makes her soften. When you listen to understand, you're saying, you don't have to go through this by yourself. And that rebuilds trust and it pulls her closer to you again, just by holding that steadiness, okay? And then studies will even show that when a partner feels heard, their stress levels and cortisol drops immediately. You see, Chris stopped trying to manage her emotions, okay? And when he did that, something surprising happened.
It was funny because when I stopped trying to fix her, she started asking for my input.
Crazy how that works, right?
It was just like, it's like, wait a minute, you trust me with this now.
That's the power of real presence. When she knows you understand her, when she wants your guidance again. You see, most men, they hit a wall, okay? It's the wall that decides whether she opens up or shuts down for good.
It's so counterintuitive, but yeah, you touched on a really good point that I want to expand on. That a lot of guys, they get confused because it's like, what does she not want me to help her? Like, does she want to be in her problems? And that's not really the case. It's a lot of men, we are uncomfortable with her emotions, right? We want to feel at peace and there's no conflict, there's no turmoil, there's no drama. Like, that's just what we like. Most men like, they like the stability and the safety and the peace. But sometimes women, they feel their emotions a lot more than us, right? So when they're in that, they want to experience that with you, right? That's the form of connection. Yeah, they will connect on the positive level, but they also want to connect on every emotion, right? And so by trying to solve her problem, you're taking her out of that, right?
Right.
And that's how, and a lot of women will call that controlling, and a lot of guys
Yeah,
don't.
I
They're
was
controlling.
trying to get rid of the bad emotions so I could just enjoy the good ones.
Yeah.
I wasn't appreciating all of her.
Mm. Yes. Yes. And do you realize where that came from as well?
That was my own insecurity. Like, I didn't like the confrontations that came from that kind of from that. And I thought if I could just fix her problems, those confrontations would go away and things would be fine. And didn't work out that way for a
Yeah.
long time.
You have to appreciate all of her, all of her. Stop trying to push away those bad emotions. That's a part of her, okay? She actually needs to feel the full range, the highs, the lows, everything in between. Your job isn't to pull her out of it, okay? It is to stand by her through it, to create that connection with her, not just in the positive, but also in the perceived negative. When she sees you can handle that, then she comes out of the storms faster. Those moments are the moments that actually build the connection again. Those difficult moments, not the easy moments. Now that lesson isn't as powerful enough. I'll do a whole video on it in a couple weeks, okay, just on that one principle. But this next principle, we're going to go even deeper now. It reveals something that she's been craving from you more than anything. And this is what really fulfills her on that spiritual level, where she starts to make excuses to come back to you again, where she's like, oh, he's been my hero all along. Listen to our conversation here.
As you were making these changes, did she test you at all with him to make sure that they were legitimate? Was there any tests coming your way?
Oh, absolutely. She would come up with reasons she would try to pick fights and I would not take the bait. And she would forget to take care of something that she was supposed to do during the day. And I'd just be like, okay, I'll just take care of it. I'll just take care of it now. It's like just letting those things roll off because at the end of the day, it's just not that big of a deal. It's, and, it just worked.
The principle here is integrity and boundaries. You see, Chris learned to hold his frame with calm strength, to stop reacting and to start responding. Now, when she pushed, he didn't crumble. He didn't attack. He stayed steady, kind, and clear on what mattered most. And that's what passing tests can look like, right? You're showing her that your strength is real. In the wild, for example, young pups, right? They'll rip and they'll push at the alpha, not to fight him, but to feel his strength. You see, it's how they know the pack is actually safe. Your wife's emotional tests, they work the same way, okay? Look, she's not attacking your authority. She's checking to see if she can still trust it. The only way she can know is by testing it. It's a stress test, okay? And every time you stay composed under pressure, she feels it and it reaffirms that you are the right guy. It's leaning her weight into you, feeling you, okay? Emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, that you're not going anywhere. But a lot of men, when they get defensive, they shut down, they leave, they abandon her in the moment, even though their body is there, right? They abandon her. And so when you start to view her tests, her complaints, her criticisms, her jabs, her stabs, whatever you want to call them, with calm clarity instead of frustration.
So she would try to pick fights. Like what did that look like?
Oh, like I would come home from a long day of work and I'd be like, because I work 12-hour shifts and I'd be like, hey, can I have, 30 minutes to go take a shower, put on some, clean clothes, and then I'll be come down here ready to be husband and dad, like you need me to. And she'd be like, well, I've been doing this all day and I need you right now. And I don't, you can do that later after we get the kids into bed and stuff. And, it's just, and at first I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll just take care of that. But then I started listening to the stuff about staying in frame and about, you know, um, taking care of yourself to take care of her. And so eventually I was just like, I get that. I know you had I validated her first of all. I was like, I get that you're feeling that way. You've had a long day too with the kids and all this other kind of, you've dealing with appointments and caseworkers and everything else that you deal with on a day-to-day basis. But right now, and I am ready to take over and give you the time that you need too. But right now, I really need to get a shower, get out of these sweaty clothes, and just get centered with myself so that I can be the guy that you all need me to be. Because right now, I don't feel like I can be that guy. And she didn't test me like that again after that.
That's the epitome of integrity and boundaries. So Chris knew what he needed in order to give her and his family what they needed. He stood his ground and did it with empathy and love.
Look at that. Just like stepping into knowing what you need, having those personal boundaries for yourself. And if I can I'm a very visual person. I teach, and you probably know this from all the coursework stuff, but the way I see it is that was you drawing a line saying, hey, this is who I am. And then when you constantly draw lines in who you are and your values and your boundaries, she has something that's stable, that just has strength to it, right? Where she could push and she could feel that, she could literally feel that emotional strength, right? And then when she could feel your strength, she feels safer, right?
Right.
Where if you were like, okay, sure. And like, she knows that you're like, you don't want to do that. It's like, she broke down one of your walls. She's like, oh, like you're not taking care of yourself. And she unfortunately will lose respect. That's what happens to a lot of guys, is giving into that conflict and losing respect, right?
Now, I help illustrate this with a 3-step analogy that's as straightforward as it could possibly be.
And you follow that 3-step process, which is like, seek first to understand, right? You validate her. So it's like almost like I call it punctuation, if you remember me talking about that. So it's like you almost like click and say, okay, I get where you're coming from. So she can feel understood. When she feels understood, this is what I need. So we both can experience this together, this core need. So it's like, I understand you. Here's what I need. And here's what's for us, right? It's like the 1, 2, 3.
Step 1 is to validate her so she feels understood. Step 2, state your needs clearly and calmly. Step 3, connect it back to us, okay? The shared vision of you guys together. That's what alignment and leadership sounds like. It's also what led to Chris's biggest win with his wife.
The best win I had in the whole program was at the end of July, so 2 months into the program. My wife was sitting in the bedroom. She was just taking some time for herself. I had just put the kids to bed, and I went into the room, and I told her, I said, I need to tell you this. Thank you for telling me how you were feeling in our marriage. You were telling me how unhappy you were and how much you were hurting, because I needed to hear it so that I could become this guy that you feel safe with, and who listens to you better and validates you. And I was just like, thank you for helping me to open my eyes and realize I need and turn into the man that I needed to be. And she was just like, she just started crying for those months that since it happened. She was under the impression that that was one of the worst things she'd ever said to me. And I told her, it was like, it hurt at the time, but it was one of the best. It might have been the best thing you said to me other than I do.
And that's the power of perspective. You see, most men would have taken those words and have, I'm not happy in my marriage anymore. They would have taken that as rejection. Maybe you have in different words, right? Chris took them as direction. You see, a challenge, an opportunity. Every man gets tested this way. not just by his wife, but by life, by yourself, okay? You're your own worst enemy. How often do you test yourself? And the moment you start choosing your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions, you create a completely different reality with her. Women are not in your life to make things easier, okay? They're there to challenge you, to become better men. She is your oracle. She's pointing out how to improve, how to become better and more conscious. Even when she's pulling away, even when she's filing for divorce, man, it is just a test and you can pass it because so many men have passed it. You stay grounded, you stay calm, you're in the growth mindset and ask yourself what you can do, how you can grow, how you become better as a man.
And the fact that you responded with growth mindset and gratitude, that was, as you could tell to her, that made her feel like, oh my God, he gets it. He's going to do something about this. And like, it's a call to action. And from a spiritual perspective, I believe that women are in our lives to make us better men. That's a woman, one of her roles. Like even biblical, you can look at this, but like a woman is supposed to challenge a man to be a better man. And the masculine doesn't grow, only grows through challenge. And a woman is your biggest challenge, right? And
Yes.
she challenged you to step up. And that's what she's supposed to do, because when you're not stepping up, you're not being that apex man that we talk about, she feels that.
Now, the best way, what Chris did, what you're going to do right now, is you're going to click the link down below, set up a free call with your marriage evaluation team. And if you are committed to actually making this work, putting your ego aside, learning, becoming a better man to save the marriage by proxy, that's what we're going to help you do. Fill out the application, just make sure you're fully invested and ready to make this change, and our team's got you. If you want your wife to soften and warm up to you in ways that you've forgotten, if you want her to look up to you with respect and admiration in her eyes, her melting into you, then this is how the fifth principle is going to help with the final step of all this. Everything changes once you embody it.
She was so much more calm and she was so much more just ready to follow me. It changed my entire life. Like I was more confident at work and I was more confident with my friends.
Listen to Chris describe it.
I started in the middle echelon where I was trying to do it for her, save my marriage.
Yeah.
But after a month or so, I was like, this is for me. This really is. This is so that I can be the guy that I deserve to be, the guy that I've been keeping, pushing down and keeping away from the world. And I deserve to be that guy. And when I first started doing it for me, it changed my entire life. Like I was more confident at work and I was more confident with my friends. I was a leader. Like we would do training and I would take charge of the drills that we were doing. And like, and things with my wife, like she was so much more calm and she was so much more just ready to follow me because I finally had that presence that said, I've got this. You can count on me.
See, Chris learned the importance of leading with responsibility. When you lead your life with direction, okay, you regain this footing and everything falls back into place. You stop trying to prove yourself to her. You start to build yourself for yourself. That's the difference between chasing for her approval and just earning your respect, okay? Now this principle corrects that obsession. Most men, that they really just get trapped in it over and over again. It's what I see. They focus on what she's doing in her reactions, her moods, her this, her that. All their attention is on her, okay? And when your focus is on her and what you're not getting, you're not going to be able to improve yourself. However, when you focus on the process of improving yourself for yourself, a man who moves with purpose, who leads his own life, his own values, he creates this energetic gravity where his energy is pulling back in towards himself. And that's what makes her feel safe, attracted to, drawn to, you name it.
Yep. The best compliment a woman can give you is for her to look at you in the eye and say, I feel so safe with you. Right. And that only comes from that stability that we just talked about. It's that presence. It's that anchor in who you are, the holding your boundaries. And I mean, that, and I will argue this to the end of the world, that is more valuable than any amount of money or muscle or whatever external value a guy has. Like if he doesn't have presence, a woman, it just disconnects, right? She doesn't feel safe. And so safety is the core number one.
So how do you achieve this? Well, I promised you a bonus principle, and this one's the key to becoming the man that your wife wants to follow. Listen to Chris describe it.
I learned that it doesn't take a grand gesture to start fixing things. It's those little things that go in every day. They add up over time and they make more of a difference than those occasional big things that you do.
So Chris is talking about everyday deposits, okay? See, once you rebuild the foundation, I'll tell you a story actually. I was recently at a training for David Data, teacher training. right? If you know who David Data is, I refer his book to all the time, The Way of the Superior Man. The guy there buried his high school sweetheart. They've been together for 40 years, right? This guy was like 56, 57. And of course I asked him, you know what? Like, okay, I help men save their marriage for a living. It's what I do, but I'm always curious. I'm always trying to learn one thing that you did that's really just helped the marriage. He's like, yeah, man, we grew together a lot. We're different people, and then some, and then some. He's like, honestly, Josh, I put the marriage first. I was like, well, what does that look like? He's like, let me just give you an example. I had on a Rolodex, it was a long time ago, 15 babysitters I could call. And I was like, every single week we are doing a date night. I don't care. Josh, sometimes the kids were crying. They were sick. They were this, they were that. I was like, nope, we're going on a date night. And that's what these deposits look like, right? It's, you have your daily hygiene, right? You have your daily, you should be going to the gym every day or doing something active. Your marriage is the same way. What are you doing for your relationship daily? Besides just going through the motions of just like catching up, like, hey, how was your day? What'd you do? Okay, what's this? What's that? What's that? All the logical talk. How are you turning her on? How are you guiding her? How are you leading her? How are you surprising her? How are you doing these things? Okay. And look, it is hard. It's not easy, right? I know as men, we want just like peace and safety. Like, why do I have to invest so much into her all the single time? If that's not you and you enjoy that, great. But most men, like myself, it's like we do feel like, oh man, it's a lot of effort. Well, the thing is, men, at the end of the day, you could choose not to, but there won't be a woman in this world who doesn't want that investment, right? You putting in that time, that energy, that love is her giving you the affection, her opening up to you, being sexual, being happy, like giving her that love, that attention is ultimately going to give you what she wants, right? When she feels safe and connected and seen and appreciated and just understood, you fill her up, okay? You are watering the plant to make those fruits grow with her that you want to eat. You see what I mean? All right. Here's another brilliant video on another man who saved her marriage in her program from the brink, honestly, and I would check that one out. Again, set up a call with our team. It's absolutely for free. Just make sure you're fully committed, ready to invest in yourself. We got you. See you in the next one.